But this was no more some vague, ubiquitous point or a cipher of vastness in unreal not. It is not something which is unreal, not nothing. Not means nothing. It was the same, but now no more seen far. It is He who is there everywhere in the reality. Class of unrecovered soul. It was herself. It was the self of all. See, this is the elaboration of this one. She felt all being one. He felt all being one. It was herself. It was the self of all. It was the reality of existing things. It was the consciousness of all that lived and felt and saw. It was timelessness and time, both simultaneous. It was the bliss of formlessness and form simultaneously, of timelessness and time, of formlessness and form. Now again, I am not too sure, perhaps we can be very clever and say that this may not be really at the time of his Vasudeva experience in jail. In jail, in Shivandu, it may not be at the time, it might have come later, chronologically. All that he saw was the presence of Vasudeva everywhere, everywhere. The dynamic Brahman everywhere present. But bliss of formlessness and form, of timelessness and time, that might have been an experience of a later time during the record period. Not 1908, I mean. It was all love and the one beloved's arms. It was sight and thought in one all-seeing mind. It was joy of being on the peaks of God. You are standing on the peaks of God and enjoying the whole thing. It is that oneness. So the Vasudeva experience would not really imply all these things. This is something which happened later on. Later on. Yeah. She passed beyond time into eternity, slipped out of space and became the infinite. She is beyond now space and time. Her being rose into unreachable heights and found no end of his journey in the self. Now, this is something which started happening in the case of Shebandhu after his arrival in Pondicherry. It plunged into unfathomable deeps and found no end to the silent mystery everywhere that held all worlds in one lonely breast, yet harbored all creation's multitude. She was all vastness and one measureless point. She is there as a point, yet measureless. She is all vastness. She was height beyond heights, a depth beyond depths. She lived in the everlasting and was all that harbors death and bear the willing hour. She lived in the everlasting and was all that harbors death and bears the willing hours. hours death, she is there. Now, certainly, this is Shivan's experience or the record time, the early Arya period. From 1910, when he came here, first decade of his coming in Pondicherry, that period is. All contraries were true in one huge spirit. So there is no contradiction between this and that there. Surpassing measure, change and circumstance. An individual, one with cosmic self in the heart of the transcendence miracle, in the secret world personality, was the creator and the Lord of all. Mine was a single innumerable look upon himself, and all that he became. Life was his drama, and a vast stage. So the stage is a vast itself is the stage, breath. The universe was his body. So what is mind? What is life? What is body? That is what is described here. See. Mind is innumerable look. Life, drama on the vast stage. Body, this universe itself. All was one single immense reality. All is innumerable phenomenon. Her spirit saw the world as living God. Now that is the realization she has. Yes, this creation, this world is none but God Himself living here. It saw the one and knew all was He. She knew Him as the absolute self-space, one with the self and ground of all things here, in which the world wanders seeking for the truth, guarded behind His face of ignorance. She followed Him to the march of endless time. All nature's happenings were events in her. The heartbeats of the cosmos were her own. Such identity now. All beings thought and felt and moved in her. She inhabited the vastness of the world. Its distances were her nature's boundaries. Its closenesses her own life's intimacies. Her mind became familiar with its mind. Her body was her body's larger frame in which she lived and knew herself in it. One multitudinous in its multitude. She was a single being, yet all things. The world was a spirit's wide circumference. The thoughts of others were her inmates, their feelings close to her universal heart. Their bodies, her many bodies kin to her. She was no more herself, but all the world. That is the experience. That is the identity now. She was no more herself, but all the world. Out of the infinitudes, all came to her. Into the infinitudes, sentient, she spread. Infinity was her own natural home. Nowhere she dwelt. Her spirit was everywhere, obviously. She is simultaneously present in all the places. She is simultaneously present in all the times. It is not that she was there, she is here, she will be there. She is present. The distant constellations veiled around her, the whole cosmos, the whole universe is moving around her. Earth saw her born. All worlds were her colonies. All worlds, all the locus, the mental, the vital, the physical, all these thousand locus, creations, all the planes of consciousness, they are her colonies. She is the queen of all those places. The greater worlds of life and mind were hers. All nature reproduce in its line. So that is the kind of a cosmic discovery Savitri is making. The whole thing is she alone. Its movements were large copies of her own. She was a single self of all the self. She was in them and they were all in her. This first was an immense identity. So that is the kind of an identity in which her own identity was lost. What seemed herself was an image of the whole. She was the subconscious life of tree and flower, the outbreak of the honeyed buds of spring. She burned the passion and splendor of the rose. She burned in the passion and splendor of the rose. She burned in the passion and splendor of the rose. She burned, that's an am, in the passion, that is second foot, anapis. Third foot, passion and splendor. Again, I am, anapis. So you have got I am, anapis, I am. Then here, splendor of Pyrrhic and rose, I am. That's the metrical scansion of this one, you see. She burned in the passion and splendor of the rose. She was the red heart of the passion flower, the dream white of the lotus in the pool. Out of subconscious life, she climbed to mind. It is how she has come up. She was thought and a passion of the world's heart. She was Godhead in the heart of man. She was the climbing soul. She was the climbing of his soul to God. Of his soul, man's soul. Climbing to God. The cosmos flowered in her. She was its bed. So she has become the garden house, soil. She was time and the dreams of God in time. She was space and the wideness of his days. From this she rose where time and space were not. The superconscious was her native air. Yes, she is in space and time, but what is her native character? To be in the superconscious. Infinity was her moment's natural space. Infinity was her moment's natural space. So, whether she is in time and space, whether she is moving in events, eternity looked out from her on time. So, infinity is looking through her on space. Eternity is looking through her in time. So, that is the cosmic discovery Savitri has. So what now Savitri has? See, she was told, Savitri, annul yourself totally. Let only God be. Annul yourself, she has done in the previous canto. In canto C. That only God be, this is what we have here. She is now saying everywhere, none, none, none but God alone. Even in death, she is not saying death as death. She is saying behind him God. The whole perspective, so to say, got totally changed in her case. You see. She does not see anything opposite. She sees God even behind that. Whether it is in conscience or superconscious, it is He who is occupying all these places. That is the cosmic discovery of Savitri, the presence of God everywhere. And that presence of God everywhere becomes possible because Savitri has annulled herself totally. Annulled herself totally. She has attained nirvana. That cup was emptied out.
I was imagining, because all we saw now, all you read, it was the one being experiment, it means Savitri, partial window. I was imagining that extrapolation, I was imagining that all the beings come to this state. And yes, if all the beings come to this state, how can we then see this point of view? Because we are reading this experiment of one being with which become no more one being. She is no more one being. She is everything. Okay. We suppose extrapolation. All the human beings. We come to this state. Can you just tell me what is
there are a couple of things. This is a realization unique to Savitri. It does not necessarily mean that we will have exactly the same kind of a realization.
Why? It must be our aim, no? No?
No, no,
As I was saying,
no. This is when we say the book of yoga here. This book of yoga is absolutely unique to Savitri alone, not to you, to me, not to her, certainly not to me. This is not my yoga. This is a yoga specifically meant for Savitri, because Savitri has a specific kind of a mission to accomplish. And to prepare herself to accomplish that mission, she has to do a specific kind of preparation. And she is undergoing through all that preparations for the mission to be fulfilled, which is kind of given to her. Now, that mission of Savitri does not mean that it is your mission, his mission, my mission, her mission. Then there's no fun in that. I got my own mission. Every individual has his own mission. I had to discover that mission and I had to prepare myself to accomplish that mission. So, what kind of spiritual necessities will arise? How I will progress on my path, if I am really following my path, will be determined by my mission. Whatever is required will be then worked out to fulfill that particular specific task, that mission. You have a specific mission. You have to prepare yourself for that. Here, in this context, Savitri's mission is to clear the path for the divine manifestation. Death is standing there and divine manifestation cannot take place unless death is removed. That is a specific mission. I am not going to tackle death. It's absolutely, absolutely banned. That is Savitri's task. I can't abrogate that task from her. Snatch away. And in fact, I cannot do also. I cannot. So for each individual has to do his own yoga to fulfill his own mission. Each one has a certain mission. I would like to express something in a certain manner. Beauty, power, love, joy, happiness. Each one has to discover in his own manner. My joy need not be necessarily your joy, but the quality of each joy has to be the divine quality. The divine quality of joy is not uniformly the same for everybody. It's not the same. It's not the same wine for everybody. You taste the same thing. Each cup has its own flavor, its own taste, its own divine rasa in it, and that you enjoy. So our mission is to discover what I am here for, what is my purpose in existence here, and prepare myself to accomplish that purpose. That is the divine mission assigned to each soul. Each soul. So I don't think we should rush to follow Savitri's yoga.
No, I didn't take it as a mission.
Yeah.
I was thinking that every human being in the end of his evolution will arrive to a state, he is one who is divine. And I thought it's state like this, something like this.
Yeah, but you see, your identity with everybody will be from your perspective, from your soul's character, nature, swabhava. Otherwise, if it is the same flat thing, it is monotonous, it is useless.
No,
I mean, it is the same thing for everybody, same piece of white paper.
no, there is no motion in this situation.
Yeah,
No
each
motion.
one has.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
yeah, this is what happened.
so when I do the yoga specific to my soul, then it becomes my book of yoga, specific for my soul. I had to discover my soul and I had to know what it really wants to express all the divine through me. I had to discover myself that. Then the purpose of my coming here gets accomplished. It is not like producing same type of car in a factory. All cars having the same color, same engine, same throb, same vibrations. It's not that. Each one has to have its own different character.
But then, this is, I think, Shrubino is describing his own experience.
Yeah.
Here he is describing, but he has of course gone through it. But this is,
And Master also.
yeah, this is basically the yoga of Savitri. The yoga of Savitri. Sri Shebando's own mission is not yoga for, basically in the Traveler of the World, in the first part of Savitri, it is his yoga. Here he is now specifically describing yoga of Savitri, mother's yoga. The what he calls the Vedantic sadhana is Shebendu sadhana. The tantric psychic sadhana is a mother's sadhana. Psychic tantric. That is Savitri sadhana. Psychic tantric. Dealing with nature, dealing with spirit, they are two different things. Dealing with spirit, that is climbing up plane above plane in the spiritual hierarchy, that is the work of the Vedantic sadhana. And here going deeper and deeper and exploring nature, physical nature which is here, transforming it, that is required. So that is why you had two yogas in Savitri. First part is essentially dealing with the Vedantic sadhana to prepare the spiritual ground for the divine Shakti's work. She comes here, she has to discover herself, deal with nature, solve the problem of nature. That is the tantric sadhana.
Tantra?
Tantric, tantra.
Can you repeat, please?
Tantric. Tantric.
What is tantric sadhana?
That is the nature of the tantric sadhana. Mother's sadhana. See, mother was an occultist. Mother was an occultist.
Yes. All in.
Yeah. No, not only that, she has to go into the nature of things, deal with nature, physical things there. Occultism is that is her part. Yeah. So that is why we have got two different things here. You see. So we can't say that the first part of sadhana is my sadhana, second part of my sadhana is also my. No, I had to discover my own sadhana. So when people say, "Oh, book of yoga, let us do this sadhana," no.
More Shakti.
Huh?
Shakti.
This is mother sadhana. He is describing the sadhana of Shakti, the divine Shakti herself taking birth here. Yeah.
We know he wrote this.
Yes.
So of course he was aware.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but mother says no.
So,
He is describing my experiences in Savitri.
But also, on the other hand, what I would say, everything he wrote, he experienced.
We need not necessarily have those kind of experiences. We'll have whatever is required for us.
So he didn't experience this part.
No, this, it may happen, it may not happen. If it is necessary for me, it will happen. If it is not necessary for me, well, I don't bother.
No, no, I'm speaking about Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo, he wrote it.
Yes.
I think he experienced.
Yes, of course, yes.
Experienced everything he wrote
Yeah.
now.
Because of his,
otherwise you cannot,
yeah,
we cannot
obviously.
trace this.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah.
So,
In fact, Shavendra wrote to Motilal Roy in very early stages itself. My yoga is waiting for the arrival of the mother. His part is done. He had gone back to France after coming here, waiting for her arrival. And then the work begins from 1920 onward.
and his mother who wrote psychic.
Yes, psychic occult, the tantric as we
Okay.
the tantric as a Savitri. Yeah. Well, it's, it's a very different kind of a thing that we see. But I mean, I will not really say that this is a yoga for,
Maybe
certainly not for me.
I think he means.
I mean, it will give us help, it will give us power, necessary strength, guidance. But finally, I have to discover my own soul and go by its promptings, by its guidance. The guidance will come. That is always there.